Hey there, Diocese of the Rio Grande. I know you know the Reverend Mandy Taylor Montoya, the rector here at St. James in Taos.
Yes.
And you've been the rector here?
Almost 2 years.
Almost 2 years.
2 years in August.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, so tell us about the place. What's new? There's construction going on over there. You might hear some construction noise, so I'd love to hear a little bit about that.
Yeah.
This is all new around us and gorgeous. I'd love to hear about that. But tell me also about the character of St. James.
Sure. So one of the things that has become clear to me since I've been here is that St. James has a real charism for feeding people. We love to eat and we love to feed other people. And so we have potlucks and parties and barbecues all the time in our community. That's how we do our vestry meetings. We have this really abundant coffee hour after both of our services. And we also have the largest food pantry in northern New Mexico.
Wow.
And so through the generosity of our community, both the community of St. James, the wider community of Taos County, and from generous donors throughout the country, we've been able to begin construction on our outreach expansion to our parish hall. So we have a building that's going up on the other side of the parish hall that will provide for us another community meeting room. It will double our food pantry storage. It will house a dedicated space for our rummage and household item ministry rather than having it all stashed out here in the sheds in the parking lot. And it gives us a dedicated space for our food pantry. Right now we have over 1,300 registered families.
Wow.
That is more than double the number of households that we served last year. And so we're seeing an increase every month in people needing assistance. And they run the whole gamut. We serve lots of seniors, students and young adults. We have a program where we provide snacks to the Youth and Family Center here. For their after-school program, we provide supplementary food bags to several of the public schools here in town, including UNM Taos. And so that is really one of our core values, is to feed our neighbors in our community in body, but also in spirit and soul. So
it's such the scale of that ministry, I think, is hard to imagine.
It is.
I've had the privilege of handing out the food. The way it's been in the past is there's a big parish hall, and every Thursday the parish hall gets turned into a food distribution center, and I've been able to kind of meet the clients as we pass things out. But this time I got to be here early enough to see the semi trucks arrive to deliver the food, and it's massive, the amount of food that comes in. And then I was also blessed to be able to have lunch with the volunteers, and there must have been 30, 40 volunteers, and somebody cooks lunch for all the volunteers. So the setup takes the morning, the lunch starts at 11:30, and then at noon people come in. But it's like the operation is amazing, the registrants. So what's driving this almost doubling of people needing assistance in the county?
So it's a reduction in social services. It's a reduction in SNAP benefits for sure. And of course, here in Taos, as in all around our diocese and around the country, people are feeling the effects of inflation and economic pressure. And in Taos in particular, housing is extremely expensive. So we also have a community assistance program that we run on Monday afternoons, and we have this dedicated team of volunteers who receive people from the community and assist them with paying their bills. So we're able to provide up to $200 a year for households to pay utility bills, phone bills, internet. And we have a grant that's paying for a lot of that. And then I use my rector discretionary fund to help with funeral expenses, medical bills, and rent and mortgage assistance. So we really are known in the community for caring for people and for their material needs. One thing I'd like to say about the community of Taos and the food pantry in particular is that it is a community effort. We have collaborative partnerships with other food pantries in the county, with other nonprofit organizations. The people of Taos are incredibly generous and really support collaborative work. The mayor comes to help on Thursday mornings, and the majority of our pantry volunteers are not parishioners, but they're people from the community. So there's a real interfaith component to what we do on Thursdays.
Yeah, I had lunch next to a Buddhist, and she was telling me about that it's not just the physical needs that St. James is known for, but she was saying that the warmth of hospitality, the welcome for everyone, just talking to other people who were interested in food ministry, and they were like, that's in a church?
Yeah.
Were they going to make you pray, and that kind of thing? And she was like, as a Buddhist, I can say, everybody's welcome to come and serve. The whole community's involved, and it really is not just sort of this church receiving grants as community input, but individuals support the food pantry ministry. The volunteer effort is immense and consistent, and it's like a giant extended family.
Absolutely,
it's just wonderful. And the other thing that I want to just name is, it is a beautiful thing that this community raised capital funds to extend its building in order to meet the needs of the community.
Yeah,
I think that's a beautiful thing, and it's going to be a beautiful thing. And I look forward to coming back when it's ready to open.
Yes, absolutely. And then we have this beautiful space here that was finished last September. We blessed it last September when we hosted the Diocesan Assembly of the Daughters of the King, because our benefactor for this wonderful space is a member of the Daughters and was able to be with us as we blessed it. But this has been such a wonderful blessing to our community, because we're able to hold intergenerational events out here. We do worship services here, and the grass is a real draw for all the kids and the parish dogs. So it's a dog-friendly space too. And we've started to have ping pong tournaments.
All
and
right.
We've
outdoor
ping pong over there in the corner. And pretty soon that's how we'll hold vestry votes, maybe, is with the ping pong. But we've got a couple of people, Tony and Aggie, if you're watching, who are just ping pong sharks that you have to really watch out for.
They're
they are
sneaky.
Undefeated.
You don't know these people that have these hidden talents, right? If it's pool, if it's ping pong, just be careful, because somebody might come out of the woodwork that you're like, how did you become that?
Absolutely. When we had our first gathering out here, I challenged everyone, beat the priest, and it was really easy.
That's really funny. That's really funny. So this area, the design of this is so beautiful. There's a little slope here, and so these, creating a little platform here is amazing. And tell us about, you said intergenerational gathering was the thing, and there's so many different rooms. So walk us through all of it.
So we come out the parish hall to this wonderful paved patio that is accessible to people with mobility challenges. So you can roll quite smoothly if you've got a walker or a wheelchair. And we have a beautiful conversation area there with a shade sail.
It's wonderful. And then I got to meet the wardens out there. And it was just, New Mexico is usually a place you can live outside, right? And that space is just, it's wonderful.
I'm happy that we're in part of the season now where we can have our staff meetings there. It's the best place to meet. And then you walk up the sidewalk there, and we have a worship space with crusher fines, so we can do all kinds of things. It's a very flexible space, and we have our beautiful bulto of Jesus on the cross, which is just gorgeous. You'll have to make sure to show it as you're going around. And then up here, this is our grilling area, again with a sunshade and bistro lights, so it works daytime or nighttime. And we've got these great outdoor picnic tables that are also handicap accessible. Beautiful grass for the young ones to roll around in, and for the various yard games that we have, like cornhole and ladder ball and all kinds of stuff. And then up in the back is our ping pong table and a nice concrete pad where you can do any number of things. We've got those beautiful primary color benches and the shade sail for folks who are looking after the children playing on that swing set, on the playground set. And then we've got a very whimsical small children's area that has pint-size benches and metal flowers.
So
and it opens up to each of our 3 classrooms here, so you can go in and out.
Yeah, just being in I was, helping to set up for the food pantry, and just being in those classrooms, this garden is just so present in that space as well. So the plants are just glorious also, and just thriving.
Yeah,
so,
native drought tolerant plants for the most part back here. Yeah.
That's wonderful. Well, so for people that don't know about Taos, they might have heard about the ski area, maybe. Tell us about Taos and the county.
Yeah.
Maybe its history, maybe its character. What do you notice as the priest here, having been here for 2 years?
So Taos is a fascinating place with, in some senses, a very mobile and dynamic population. At the same time, there are these centers of communities that have been here for hundreds and hundreds of years. And so we have Taos Pueblo, that is, I think, one of the longest continuously occupied indigenous communities in what is now the United States. And there's a real attempt, it seems to me, for the rest of the community to support and honor indigenous practices. And so people pay attention to when they are allowed and not allowed on the mountain. And all the schools get San Jeronimo Day off. And so the whole town converges on the Pueblo to celebrate San Jeronimo and sea dances and things like that. And it's quite a draw on Christmas Eve also, because they have bonfires. And so we have returned here to a practice of midnight mass. Doesn't start at midnight, but starts late enough that people come in smelling of firewood smoke, of camp smoke. And then there are neighborhoods, historic Nuevo Mexicano neighborhoods that were parts of land grants, whether they were community land grants or individual land grants. And so there's Arroyo Seco and Arroyo Hondo and the Serna grant, which is really kind of this part of town, and ranchos. So I have parishioners whose families have been here for 6, 7, 10 generations. And then we also have a lot of folks who retire here from other places, or who are part-time residents who have been drawn here by the art scene, the museum scene, or the beautiful landscape and amazing light. We've been here almost 2 years, and every single day there is something that just catches my breath with the beauty of Taos. And being someone who grew up in Albuquerque, I kind of poo-pooed the magic of Taos, right? Couldn't be as cool as Albuquerque. Right. But I understand how it became an artist colony, because the light is just amazing and tremendous. So I think, we've talked about, and some of my vestry members have talked about, this myth of Taos being a tricultural place, when in fact there are so many subcultures and different folks here that really belies the diversity, both ethnically, socioeconomically. With being a resort town, as you might imagine, there are tremendous disparities of wealth, huge disparities of wealth, that primarily map on to race, but not exclusively. And so one of the things that I appreciate about St. James is that we draw people from all of those segments, all of those groups. And so there's more diversity than one would expect.
Yeah. Well, and I've been impressed just meeting with the vestry, but also just being here for a few days, with the spirit of the people of St. James as they negotiate those differences. Yeah. There's a real sense of openness. It's hard to tell when you're working with the food distribution who's a volunteer and who's a client and who's a giant donor. Like there's just sort of a spirit of, we're all in this together.
Yes.
And I would also say a curiosity that's both intellectual and spiritual about getting to know one another. Yeah. Who is my neighbor, and how do I get to know? One of the members of the vestry was saying that that coming here was kind of the first time that he had really been called to take seriously who is my neighbor, not just in an abstract sense, but in a how do I actually go and know them.
Right. Absolutely.
And it feels like that's the spirit of this place, this church.
Yes, I think it is. And we spent 2025 really discerning our core values. And one of those core values is beloved community. And that's something we're really focusing on this summer, and thinking about the difference between welcome and inclusion and integrating people into the life of the community in a meaningful way. And so people have really been thinking quite deeply about what it means to be in relationship, not just with the people who sit next to them in the pews, but with God and with the other people around them. And we've really come to articulate an understanding of my neighbor as a theological category and not a geographical one.
Oh, I like that. Yeah. Say more about that.
Well, so as we were working on our mission and core values statement, we wanted to really make clear that we have neighbors near and far. And so we spent a lot of time talking about who is it that we're trying to nourish? Because we don't want to use language that suggests it's just the people who are already inside our doors. And we don't want to limit our imagination to just the people within a 1 or 2 mile radius, but to understand that we have obligations to our neighbors in Gaza and in Oaxaca and anywhere that the people of God live.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
We're still trying to figure out how to live into that.
Yeah.
It's a lot easier to live into loving your neighbor that you can be in physical proximity to.
Yeah, I felt a little bit of that spirit at the vestry meeting last night when we started talking about the nature of being diocese and about the more urban areas where there are congregations that can afford full-time clergy, where there are sometimes multiple congregations in an urban area like Albuquerque or Santa Fe or Las Cruces, but then how many mission churches we have that struggle to afford supply clergy, where there's vast distances to be covered. And it didn't take long at all for the vestry to kind of go, Bishop, have you thought about how we might be involved in getting to know those places? And it wasn't in a kind of paternalistic, let us send checks kind of a way. They very quickly started talking about, could we go?
Yeah.
And so just not every congregation has that response. Some congregations are really focused on what they're working on, right? And anything more than that feels like too much. But there's a spirit here that really does already reflect that theological sense of our neighbor. How can we get to know our neighbors? And there's almost an adventurous spirit about, oh gosh, we have talent with carpentry and we like to fly fish. And if there's places we could go that we could include some of that stuff and get to know other people, we'd love to do that. So I'm excited to see what happens as your ministry here continues.
Yeah, well, and I'll just say that, we know that the Spirit is always at work. And here at St. James, you can feel the Spirit when you walk in. The Spirit is palpable. And there is a joy and openness to how God is calling us to live in the world that the people of St. James take very seriously and joyfully. But we've really been struggling with how to offer a credible Christian witness in times like these. And so I feel so lucky to have been called here to be with these people.
Yeah, wonderful.
Yeah.
Anything else you'd like to say that we haven't talked about?
Come to Empty Bowls.
Empty Bowls in October. Empty Bowls,
Empty Bowls, it's our largest fundraiser for our food pantry, and it is a community event. We have this huge tent where people come to eat wonderful food donated by area restaurants and chefs. We have partners who are potters who provide handmade ceramic pottery bowls. And so you buy your ticket, you get a bowl, you get lunch, and you get access to our silent auction. Our Empty Bowls has been growing by over 100 people every year. Wow. So we were at, I think, 450 last year. I expect us to get close to 600. It's the social event of the season in Taos, but also come up from Albuquerque, come up from Santa Fe, come from Los Alamos. Make it a whole weekend. And it's October 10th. We'd love to have you for Empty Bowls.
It's wonderful. I've still got the bowl
Yeah.
I had from the first time I came, and every time I pull it out of the dishwasher,
Yeah.
I say a prayer for y'all. It's
Thank
a
you.
wonderful, wonderful event.
Thank you.
Mandy, thank you for all you're doing, and thanks to St. James Taos for
Thank
being
you.
such a wonderful Episcopal church.
Thank you.
All right.